Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. I'm conscious of the fact that we haven't spoke about Jack Catterall versus Jorge Linares, which is this weekend, so let's spend a couple of minutes talking about that fight and the undercard before we look at the news. I did speak to both guys yesterday, both very, very confident. Let me quickly get up the fight card. Jack Catterall obviously confident. Jorge Linares surprisingly very confident. Again, this is the man that's right at the tail end of his career. He's 38 now. He's lost his last 3 fights, but very confident. Spoke very well as well. And I was surprised by that. I don't know what I expected, but when I interview fighters right at the end of their career, especially fighters that have had a lot of tough fights, unfortunately, and this is the sad part about boxing, you can see the damage. You can hear the damage, right? They start to slur their words a little bit, and you're interviewing them, but at the back of your mind, you're thinking you have absolutely no chance. Whereas Jorge Linares, I was like, this guy sounds very, very sharp. Very sharp. And I guess maybe the confidence comes from the fact that he's unbeaten against Brits, right? I mean, every time he comes over here, he puts on a good show and he walks away with the victory. Twice against Anthony Crolla, that incredible fight against Kevin Mitchell, and against Luke Campbell. So maybe he's thinking, you know what? This is a good space for me. It's a good place to come and get the job done. But yeah, look, if you're Jack Catterall, you need to make a statement here. You do need to. Jack Catterall wants a world title fight next year. Although, and I'll say that, but I also know he wants Josh Taylor. And the reason, actually, I'll get to that now. Right at the end of my interview with Jack Catterall, I said, look, if you come through this one and I offered you these 3 fights, what would you take? The 3 fights I said was Teofimo Lopez, the winner of Haney Prograis, or Josh Taylor. And he said, Josh. Bear in mind, that's not a world title fight. So he clearly wants to get back there. But look, Jack Catterall has to look good. Again, Jorge Linares has lost his last 3 fights. I know one of those was against Devin Haney, but that was back in 2021. Jorge Linares isn't the Jorge Linares that was a freeweight world champion. He isn't the Jorge Linares that I thought looked really, really good against Vasily Lomachenko. He isn't that guy anymore. And he's not a 140 guy either. The last few years, he's been campaigning at 135 pounds. Jack Catterall's a big, big 140. Like, standing next to me, I just realized how big he is. Clearly must struggle making the weight, but makes it, right? So yeah, Jack has to look good here. He has to. He has to. Look, stopping Jorge Linares won't be easy, but I think he has to put a beating on him. He really has to make a statement to say, I am one of the top guys in the 140 pound division. I think he is. Right? I think he should be unbeaten. I think at a time he should have been undisputed, but that's all in the past. This is now. If he wants to be in that mix to get the Teofimo Lopez fight, to get the winner of Haney Prograis, which would be incredible for him, he needs to put a beating on Jorge Linares. I could be wrong. You know, I'm wrong a lot of times. I don't think he's going to. I think Jorge Linares, I don't know what it is. Again, maybe it's just standing next to him yesterday and expecting him to, you know, come across as, you know, I'm only here for a payday, that kind of attitude. He's coming over here to kill. He's coming over here to win. He thinks there's one last run in his career and it starts here. And if he beats Jack Catterall, then, I mean, he might get a world title shot, which is incredible, but he might. So I think Jack Catterall will come through this one, but I think there's going to be a few rounds, maybe early, where it's very sticky. Very, very sticky. So, look, I think that's a good fight. I know when it was first announced, even I was like, but now I'm like, I'm expecting something here. I don't expect Jorge Linares to just bow down. I'm expecting Jorge Linares, if he is going to go out on his fucking shield. And we'll see how good Jack Catterall is in getting rid of someone that's very, very experienced. Again, that's one thing Jorge Linares has here. Very, very experienced. Peter McGrail is on the undercard. I think he's chief support. He takes on Fran Mendoza, unbeaten Colombian. The last time an unbeaten Colombian came over here, we know what he did. Bradis Prescott versus Amir Khan. But look, everyone's very excited about Peter McGrail. Everyone thinks that we might have something special. You know, when I think of, a lot of people ask me about Ade, who are the next superstars? Who are the next guys that are going to fight for world titles from these shores? He's one. Peter McGrail's definitely one. Pat McCormack's another one. Ben Whittaker. And I'm talking the next 2 years, by the way. I think all those guys I'm talking about, the next 2 years, I expect them to be right there or thereabouts for world title fights or in the mix. Ben Whittaker's another one. Moses Atuma, but maybe not the next 2 years. He's still very young, maybe like 3 or 4 years. But we do have some fighters in these shores or on these shores that I think can surprise a few. Now, I don't know if they will turn into superstars and sell tickets and fill arenas. So maybe that's the question you guys are asking me. But I definitely think they'll be in and around the world title mix. And I'll be very surprised if one of those three doesn't become a world champion. But yeah, Peter McGrail, I expect him to look good. They nickname him, I think it's the Scouse Lomachenko. I mean, you don't get a nickname like Lomachenko if you can't fight, right? Incredible amateur record. And so far, unbeaten in the pros. I think potentially fight of the night is Aqib Fiaz versus Reece Bellotti. This is a big step up for Aqib Fiaz. I thought Reece Bellotti was done when he got easily beat by Raymond Ford. That was sort of Eddie Hearn's fight camp back garden thing. Easily beaten, but Raymond Ford, I think, could be a bit special. And I thought, okay, he's done. He's done. All of a sudden, had that good win against Yusuf Kamari, and now he gets the Aqib Fiaz shot, or Aqib Fiaz gets the Reece Bellotti shot. I don't know which way it is. Remember, this is for the vacant Commonwealth super featherweight strap. Aqib Fiaz hasn't fought above 8 rounds. This is a 12-rounder. Reece Bellotti can punch. Aqib Fiaz can't punch. I think he's only got 1 knockout on the record. So, boy, this is a tough one. This is chucking in your prospect, and he is a prospect, Aqib Fiaz, I think, to the Wolves. And let's see if he can escape. But yeah, looking forward to it. Decent fight card. But those for me are the 3 fights that obviously we'll be paying attention to. What do we have here? Tyson Fury says WWE is harder than boxing, remains open to wrestling opportunities. Obviously, I don't think it's, you know what though, I'll be honest with you. Physically, I mean, it is taxing on your body. I used to be a big WWF fan. Don't really watch it as much anymore, but I do watch a few podcasts. And I mean, these guys were going from state to state, wrestling every 2 or 3 days. And I mean, what they put their bodies through. I mean, these guys are fucking jumping off top ropes, going through fucking tables, getting smashed on the head with chairs. I think boxing's harder. But physically, I mean, a wrestler, and it's funny because we grew up and it's fake. But again, what they put their bodies through is insane. But boxing's definitely harder. What else have we got here? Let's have a look. Erislandy Lara, Danny Garcia, likely to be part of a Showtime pay-per-view card on the 9th of December at the MGM Grand. That probably then is the last one. I don't know who's going to headline. Is that a headline? Not quite sure if Lara Garcia at this stage of their careers is a headline, but that might be the last Showtime pay-per-view card, right? I mean, Showtime's now out of business. I did ask the question the other day, and I'm still not 100% sure. Are they out of boxing business completely, or will they still put on pay-per-view cards? I don't know. I think they're out completely, right? So this probably 9th of December is the last one. Sticking with December, I still don't know what's going on with that 23rd of December date. Again, the rumours are Conor Benn versus Eubank, and one of the big rumours is the Principality Stadium. I don't know how it's going to work with Conor Benn and the situation with the British Boxing Board of Control and UCAD. The other rumour is AJ. It's funny because supposedly I started this rumour, which is nuts, right? I sat down with AJ a few weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and I said, look, when are you next out? He said he wants to be out in December. And I was like, huh? It surprised me. And then I heard from a good source that AJ is back in Dallas, Texas, and is, I don't know if it's starting a fight camp or it's just ticking over with Derek James. So, I mean, I put the 2 and 2 together, and I think it's right to put the 2 and 2 together and said, okay, he told me he wants to fight in December. I've been told that he's in Dallas, Texas. Maybe there is an announcement coming about AJ having a fight at the back end of December. I mean, I don't know. I just don't. That's the only date, by the way. I mean, there is another date, which is the 30th, but I don't think you go on that date a couple of days before the new year. Maybe the 23rd is the only date. I mean, and I said this the other day. Could you do Eubank and Benn and AJ on the same card? I don't think so. I think right now, as it stands, it's more likely Eubank Benn moves to the new year because there are things that need to be ironed out, obviously, and AJ takes that 23rd of December slot. That's what I think. This isn't me working for DAZN, having some inside knowledge. This is just me, Ade on the green chair, thinking that that's what happens. And if it is AJ coming back on the 23rd of December, I don't know who the opponent could be. I really, really don't want to hear Manuel Char. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. I know AJ just wants to stay busy, and I get it, but like Jermaine Franklin, Hellenius, Manuel Char, for me, that's the way I look at it. You've gone like that, and then boom. Because Manuel Char just talks, doesn't fight. And when he does fight, not very good. So I'd rather not that. The names Hrgovic has been thrown around. Jarrell Miller has been thrown around. Andy Ruiz, which I think would be just maybe a bit too risky. Shouldn't be. I think AJ smashes Ruiz, especially this version of Ruiz who doesn't fight. But I don't know. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. Look, if anything is going to happen with a 23rd of December date, you kind of need to announce it now, right? The sale needs to start now. What are we, 8 weeks out from that? So yeah, look, let's see what happens. I think, again, we're very, very unlikely for it to be Benn-Eubank. I just don't. And again, the Principality Stadium, 2 days before Christmas. I don't think so. I don't think people are going to travel. And it will be a case of people traveling from all over the UK, making their way to Wales, tickets, hotels 2 days before Christmas. With AJ fights in London, O2 Arena, I think that's more likely, isn't it? Like, even if AJ doesn't fill it, 15,000 whatever in the O2 is more likely than 80,000, 80 at the Principality. So I'm going to go with, if anything happens on the 23rd, I'm going with it's AJ's final fight of the year, which would be good. 3 fights for AJ this year. That's what I'm going. John Fury plans to confront traitor Mike Tyson during Fury and Ngannou fight week. Bullshit. He's not confronting Mike Tyson. Like, to do it to the YouTubers and other boxers is one thing. To do it to Mike Tyson, who at any second can snap, is a whole different conversation. So, yeah, I doubt it. Team Haney on Prograis. To have a fight in San Francisco, we needed someone tough. Yeah, I'm hearing the tickets are going really well for this one. Like, really, really well. They had their face-off yesterday. I was so angry that I wasn't flown out to do the face-off. Like that's such an easy face-off. Like, I did Leewood Warrington, which wasn't easy, guys. It wasn't easy. It almost, I didn't mind it because it turned into a conversation rather than I did Bam Sonny, which again wasn't easy because Bam doesn't talk much. Haney Prograis. I mean, you literally just have to fucking just sit back and just watch them go at each other. The easiest thing in the world. Hopefully Chris Mannix did it some justice. I'm sure he would have. But yeah, disappointing not to do it. Anything else before we go? Katie Taylor motivated to topple Chantel Cameron. A win would increase my legacy. If Katie Taylor beat Chantel Cameron, then wow. I mean, wow. And then she just continues. Like, there's more fights. Michaela Mayer, there's more fights. I don't think Caroline Dubois will get an opportunity, but there are more fights. Speaking of that, this is just randomly came to my head. What's going on with Dillian Whyte and Alicia Baumgardner? More so Dillian Whyte, who just seems to have just gone. Like, we haven't heard from him since. What is happening? What is going on? Strange. There's almost 2 ways to deal with this, right? You can do it the way Conor Benn did, which is get very vocal and say, no, I didn't do anything, and the boxing fans destroy him. Or you almost can do what Dillian Whyte has done, which is nothing, and no one's talking about it, right? I mean, like, what would you prefer? I'd prefer the way Conor Benn has done it, right? Like, if it was me and someone accused me of cheating, there is no way I'm just keeping silent. There's no fucking way. Like, especially if I haven't done it, I'm going mental. But it's interesting how Dillian Whyte's approached this, where he's just not said anything. I think there was a statement a week after, and then since then, nothing. And this has been a long time now. We haven't heard anything, like nothing from whoever's dealing with it, whether it be VADA or UCAD or the British Boxing Board of Control. Nothing. How interesting. All right, where are we? Caleb Plant, right now my main focus is Jamal Charlo. Is that happening? Why would that be your focus when Jamal Charlo is fighting? Who's Jamal Charlo fighting again? Is it not Benavidez Jr.? Which really is a whack fight, by the way. But he hasn't fought for 3 years, I guess, so we can kind of give him that one. Let's have a quick look. Oh, and all of a sudden, my box rec is down. I think it is Benavidez Jr., I think, who's coming up from 154, who really is a 147 guy, but enough of that. Andy Ruiz, I think Zhili Zhang could beat Anthony Joshua. Yeah, Zhili Zhang could beat Anthony Joshua, certainly. I mean, a guy that hits that hard, a southpaw, good amateur record, of course he can beat AJ. I think it's a good fight. Again, these are the kind of fights I want to see. Like, that's one. Like, all the names I mentioned earlier for AJ, Hrgovic, all those. Zhilei Zhang really is the ideal one, right? Zhilei Zhang coming off that incredible back-to-back performances against Joe Joyce. That's the fight. That's the fight that does good pay-per-view numbers, bums on seats, the lot. Everyone would tune in for that fight. I don't think they'll do that. I think that's the kind of fight where if they don't get Wilder next year, then maybe that's a route they go down. It will be a difficult route to go down with Zhilei Zhang having signed a deal with Frank Warren in Queensbury, but we'll see. We shall see. All right. 2 secs. Eddie Hearn sees Haney Pro Grey winner. Josh Taylor rematch as viable option for Jack Catterall. Yeah, if he looks spectacular. If he looks spectacular, in an ideal world, Josh Taylor's there, he's ringside, and they somehow just do a face-to-face, even though it might not happen and it's difficult to get the fight done because just making fights in boxing isn't the easiest thing anymore. But in an ideal world, he's there and we see what happens. But look, it all starts with Jack Catterall putting on a beating of Jorge Linares. And again, call me mad, but I don't know if it's that easy. I really don't know. All right. Anything else before we wrap? Did you guys see the back and forth between Canelo and Conor McGregor? You know what? Normally, when like Conor speaks, like I would destroy you. In my head, I'm thinking he's right. That the UFC fighter would destroy the boxer, right? Like they would just wrestle them and fuck them up. I actually don't think Conor would. I think at this stage of Conor's career, I think Canelo in any discipline fucks him up. Like, I'm not joking. If they were to meet on the street, and I know Conor's not a wrestler like that. I actually genuinely believe that Canelo will fuck him up. I don't know why. But look, we'll see what happens with Conor. I believe he is coming back in the next 2-3 months. I think the UFC are planning on doing something massive in Saudi Arabia. And I think he's the headline act for it. All right, guys, girls,